ꯑꯩꯒꯤ ꯃꯤꯡ ꯎꯁꯝ ꯅꯤꯡꯊꯧꯈꯣꯝꯕ ꯃꯤꯇꯩ ꯑꯩ ꯏꯪꯂꯤꯁꯀꯤ ꯑꯣꯖꯥꯅꯤ. Hi everyone, today we'll be doing chapter number 7 of class 7 English Supplementary, William Tell. So today's story is a legend, a myth from the beautiful country of Switzerland. So William Tell is actually a Switzerland's national hero. The story is based somewhere in the 14th century. Now let's see, where is Switzerland? Switzerland is in Central Europe, middle part of the Europe, surrounded by Germany in the north, France in the west, Austria in the east, and Italy in the south. And especially for this story, we should know a place called Altdorf, which is a small but historic lakeside town in Switzerland. And what's the name of the lake? Lake Lucerne. So Lake Lucerne is the name of the lake. So during those times, Switzerland was under Austrian rule. Just like our country was ruled by the British, they were also ruled by the Austrian. And the town of Altdorf was under Duke. And actually it is pronounced as Duke in British. Indian English, Duke and High. So say whatever you like. Then what is a Duke? Duke in modern days, Duke is like a governor or a chief minister, but ours is a democracy. So chief ministers are elected by the people and the governors are appointed by the central government. But the office of Duke was hereditary. Just like kings, if a father was a duke, his son would be a duke. And the name of the duke in this story was Duke Gessler. So he was very, very cruel. William Tell was popular with the people of the lakeside town of Altdorf in Switzerland, and he could sail faster on Lake Lucerne and shoot an arrow more accurately than anybody else in and around Altdorf. And he was the best sailor. And he was also the best shooter of the town of Altdorf. So Duke Gessler, who had been sent by a foreign power, the Austrian power, to rule over the district of Altdorf, was a very cruel man, as I have said. And he treated the people of Altdorf very badly. So he made them pay heavy taxes and everyone was afraid of him. So William Tell had a young son, whom he loved more dearly than his own life. He took his son with him into the mountains so that he could keep them out of the Gessler's way and live in peace. So people of Altdorf were living in a miserable condition, always tortured by Duke Gessler. So he wanted to save his child, his son, from such a miserable life. So he and his son lived in the mountains far away from the town. But sometimes, however, William had to go down to the market square in the town to buy food. Since they cannot stay all the time in the mountains, they had to come down to the market to buy food. One day, he was surprised to see all the people bowing down before a tall pole with a hat on top. So, awang ba pole amado ko? Pole amagi matak sida ngasaygi hat amakak leremen. There was a hat attached to it, and all the people were bowing down. A woman told him that the Duke had ordered everyone to bow down before his hat. So that hat was Duke Gessler's hat. Duke Gessler gi magi hat ne magi tupi ne boko. And everybody were ordered to bow down that hat. So each time they passed out that way. Then William Tell was very angry when he heard that. And he said, I'll not bow down to any man's hat. Madugi tupi su ay kesu kok non tharoy any kind of hat ay kok non tharoy sinebo. He was a very proud man. Then with his head held high, he walked across the square, his little son beside him. At once they were arrested by a group of soldiers and taken to the Duke's court. Why? Because he was not bowing down that hat. So Gessler was delighted to have got Tell in his power. So he was very happy that William Tell got arrested, and he told him that he would lock him up for the rest of his life. He would be put in a jail for the rest of his life so that he did not have the opportunity to be so arrogant again. So William Tell stood straight and looked at the Gessler without any fear, without any sign of fear. Magi mai thong da akiba kem yaw de with Duke Gessler da mana mun na yenga lay ko. So Gessler got very angry because he wanted William Tell to be afraid and beg for mercy. So he wanted William Tell to say, I'm sorry, I will not do that again in that way. But he was not doing that. He was he was standing straight, looking straight into the Gessler's eyes without any sign of fear. So he wanted William Tell to get afraid, but he wasn't. Then Gessler thought of a wicked plan to punish William Tell. So since threatening him to put him in jail didn't work out well, then he said, I'll make a bargain with you. It means I will set a condition with you. I will make you have a choice. So he said, Manake Hari, if he can cut an apple in two from a distance of 200 paces, 200 footsteps, if he can shoot an arrow and if he can cut an apple into half, I'll let you go free. I will not put you in prison. So this is what Gessler said. William Tell agreed to Gessler's bargain for his freedom. The shot would be a difficult one, but he was sure that he could do it. And they went to the end of a field, where there was an oak tree, a tree was there. The Duke laughed loudly. He said, now tie the boy to the tree and put the apple on his head. See, earlier he said that William Tell was to shoot an apple. He didn't say that the apple is to be put on his son's head. But now he's saying that. And his son meant everything to Tell. So how could he take such a chance with such a risk with his little boy's life? He felt nervous. He was very skilled, very confident and brave, but he didn't want to risk his child's life. He felt his hands shake. How could he be sure that he could aim his arrow straight? That is why he was afraid. So would it not be better to spend the rest of his life in prison than to risk the life of his son? Now he was very confused. That was very dangerous. He didn't want to risk the life of his only son. Gessler was smiling with pleasure when he saw William Tell's distress. William Tell na matha sabado. So udu ubo matamda Gessler was feeling very happy. He only wanted to see William Tell suffering, and now William Tell was indeed suffering. So then a small voice rang out. You can do it, father. I know you can. So it was his son. May machano pa ni kay here. Masaygi. Baba nang tawang ngani khangi kapo yani ay tumin na lenge ko. I will stand very still. I will not move until you have shot the apple off my head. So I'll be very careful. This is what his son said. Then the soldiers tied the boy to the tree. A very small apple, red apple, was placed on the head. The child stood very still. Then the arrow was shot and the apple fell into two halves at the boy's feet. The apple was cut into half and it fell down onto the boy's feet. Duke Gessler was very angry and disappointed because William Tell had succeeded again. But then a second arrow fell on the ground from inside William Tell's coat. William Tell naman nalilibog coat to adugi makhadagi arrow amamuk tara iba soybidagi ko. He was given only one arrow actually and one chance to shoot the apple for his freedom. But another arrow fell down from his coat, so the Duke was surprised. He asked, why did you take two arrows, Tell? William Tell, why are you taking two arrows? Then he answered, if I had killed my son with the first one, said William Tell, I would have sent the second one into your black heart. So by mistake, if I had killed my son, from the first arrow, then this second arrow I will use to kill you. I was carrying it The Duke was very angry. Then he said, you shall die for your treason. Take him across the lake to the Cosendet castle and throw him into the animals in the cellar. So the Duke ordered his soldiers to take William Tell across the lake, across the in a castle where there were lots of dangerous animals, and throw him into the animals, so that the animals would kill him. The soldiers took William on a boat and set sail for the dreadful castle. Tell called his son to run home and wait for him there. He was very sure that he won't die. He will fight the soldiers, defeat them, and come back for his son. This is what he thought. As the boat reached deep water in the middle of the lake, a storm blew up. A storm from nowhere came up. Then a boat was caught. The boat was caught by a large waves of water, and it rocked and rolled. Then the soldiers were frightened. The soldiers were afraid. The wave was going to swallow the ship. Mokogi boat to, mokogi ship to nga sa kedoge matamda akan ba ising ire do na lukhi ke tawrebo ko. So the captain of the boat cried out, "Only William Tell could sail a boat in this weather, in this kind of weather, in this kind of situation. Only William Tell could sail a boat." So remember, we have already discussed about it. William Tell, besides being a best shooter, he was also the best seller in the town. So William Tell was untied, and he was asked to take the tiller. So tiller it is actually a pole used to turn the ship left or right. It is used in small boats, not in big ones. So he turned the boat into the middle of the large waves. So he could just make out of the jagged rocks of the shore. So jagged rocks means rocks with very irregular, uneven shape. Irregular or matum taba na taba jagag yamanaiba, very pointed and very dangerous rocks. Maduguma mayama malera me ko. Maduda kamain to ge matamda ngasagi thomjin gaduini. A large wave lifted the boat and dropped it onto the sharp rock. The boat broke into two. Tell grabbed a loaded crossbow. Actually, he had a chance to save all the soldiers. Soldiers into chance but he didn't take the chance. Instead, he was the best seller, but although he was the best seller, he was given the tiller to move it, to sail the ship properly, safe oina thawdnaba mongonda chance pirabanebo ko. But still he was not doing that ko. Adugi mohte kedo mana thawoina ngasai jag rock sing dugi mathakta mana tahanna na bo hodare. That is why he drove into the middle of the wave ko thawjali mana ko. So then, as he have thought, boat to kedore kaire. So soldier ko. So Tell grabbed a loaded crossbow. It's a kind of advanced bow and arrow weapon. So from a soldier, and leapt out of the sinking boat. So he took a crossbow, a bow, soldier he jumped out of the sinking boat. He got hold of the branches of a tree on the shore and scrambled to safety. Behind him, the soldiers were drowned in the lake. So though he could have saved the boat and the soldiers in it, he didn't. He intentionally sailed the boat right into the middle of the wave, as I have told you, and he let the boat break into two. He let the soldiers drown in the lake, and now he was hanging there on a branch. So on the far shore stood Gessler. In a very far distance on the shore, the Duke Gessler was still standing there, watching helplessly as the boat and his best soldiers were lost forever. So William Tell took careful aim and shot an arrow across the stormy lake straight into the Gessler's heart. Yamna stormy oiba nungli nungsit leirakasu madudagi phawduoga ngasai mana tenje kape. Then Gessler to see hanging on the branch of the tree. Even though Gessler was very far away from him, even though there was storm in the middle, he managed to shoot and kill Duke Gessler. Then William climbed the rough mountainside towards his home, where his little son was waiting for him. So a few years later, after this incident had happened, Switzerland broke free. They got freedom from the rule of Austria, from the foreign rule, and the people were very happy and at peace once more. So in this story, what we have learned, William Tell haji kanano, mas yamna power, yamna haiba seller makagni, yamna haiba ero kapa yam haiba nupa makagni ko. And he was very brave ko, who stood against Duke Gessler. Even though Duke Gessler was the ruler, even though Duke Gessler was very cruel, mana mangonda ngasagi respect to because he was very cruel ko. Aduna mana Switzerland people into torture to bodo mana yaning kide. That is why he stood against Duke Gessler. Then he was Duke Gessler madam cruel he made him shoot an apple which was put on the head of his son ko. Magi sangi machanupagi makup mataga thamaga tenje ka phale ko. Aduga madugi thodok thokra matungda kamai todana how William Tell was able to take his revenge. Mana magi revenge kamain lowi. Mga saigi mana saigi even though he was given the tiller, ko mga saigi tiller do piraga su boat to thodo on hire su, he drove it right into the middle of the wave ko. Wave to gi maya thousand le mana duga mga saigi wave to no humdo oga mga saigi boat to tangkai tahle namdan tahle intentionally ko. Then again mana nga saigi storm dugi marak to the, even though Gessler was standing very far away on the shore, since he was a very good, very great shooter, he still managed to shoot on Duke Gessler's heart ko, right onto the heart. Magi thamoy magi thabak mapasi the kapsel lakanda, he killed Duke Gessler. So it was a nice story, I think.